Hi beauties. So I'm just going live here to explore this idea of doing magic in a collective environment and my relationship too with having ended the coven that I was within and how I'm really feeling it. This is the first Sabbath that as we're entering through Samhain, through like entering into the new year, cultivating and harvesting all that we've experienced in the last spin of the wheel. And yeah, just feeling kind of tender right now because I'm acknowledging that connection of having a magical container held by a group of coven witches isn't there in the same way. And so on this other's perspective of having that experience, also realizing how many years I didn't have that form of container, and that way that that I've woven my prayers and intentions and with other people. And so what I share with you now is, something that I encourage you to be exploring right now, which is where I'm going in myself, is realizing without this like dedicated coven work to be kind of focusing me and having that like landing point, I have to remember to find that within myself. How do I continue to be in dedication to the magic that's alive right now in the seasons? And so what I'm doing right now, and I encourage you to explore, is kind of going back to this last year, this last turn of the wheel, and really starting to pull in the gems and pull in the experiences and the lessons that you've learned, painful or joyous. And for me, I have a lot of foliage, I have handfuls of dried flowers that are all holding these different rituals. And so as I'm kind of collecting all of this fauna, collecting all of these ritual remnants from the last year, and letting myself be with the experiences that they're holding. And so I'm kind of putting together this big bag full of these dried flowers, of these ritual items. And part of this journey for me, as we enter in through Samhain, as we enter into the new, which is the new year for me and my own personal practice, is how do I also pull in my magic? How do I pull in energy threads that have been cast? I feel like for any of you that do spell work or magic casting or manifesting, there's kind of this taking the fishing line out into the universe and putting out our prayers and then pulling them back in. And it's this time of the year for me of being like, okay, what's on the other end of those prayers that I maybe need to bring back into myself, or realize that it's not catching, right? It's like that energy thread and that way of extending myself out isn't being met. And so that can be in connections that you have, that can be in perhaps projects that you've cast out, and just reeling in that energy. Because I feel like in order to enter into any new threshold, especially when you think of it as a new beginning or a new year, is pulling in all that excess, all that extended energy lines that are in the end draining because they're not being received, and starting to cultivate that. So with my fauna, what I'm doing is I'm pulling in those physical, they kind of physically hold the magic that I wielded, and I'm going to be doing a ritual fire, probably more around the lunar Samhain, or when I working with the new moon coming up in November. But so I just put that out there for you. And if you are in a space where you have people in your life that you want to be witnessed and held and share in more rituals with, I really encourage exploring maybe inviting your friends together to have a fire. And it can be as simple as just passing around the fire, each person sharing some wisdom that they've gleaned in the year. Is there something that they want to release? I love having some objects that you can actually burn in the fire to hold that you are releasing. And then you can the smoke also be what you're cleansing off. So as you bring that fire, letting that fire and that renewal energy kind of cleanse off your year and let you move forward with a clear palette. I think of it as, all the ways that we've been cultivating our energy and our prayers and our magic throughout the year also gets to be shifted as we enter and we cross this threshold. Like, we don't have to bring with us who we have been. We get to step into this new identity. And so this coming time for me is a lot about what does it mean to acknowledge all that you've learned, and what does it mean to let go of anything that isn't serving you, so that the foundation of this next year gets to feel solid, even if it's not as like massive as you may have desired. You might have wanted like walls up by now, but just being honest with what's really alive for you, what's really remains after you kind of let go of the excess, and being with what that remaining platform, that remaining foundation in your life, what those remaining relationships are that have, you know, stuck it out through thick and thin with you. And what are those dreams that still remain? You know, I love to just honor, like, hey, I still have this desire. I might have had this desire for 20 years, but it's still there and it's still alive in me. And so I honor that and I keep that in my basket. And so this process of like, what do I bring in? What is still there? What do I let go of? And so I know for me, like, I'm bringing this up because I'm putting together a program on the ritualist path and realizing the importance of sharing ritual and also learning from others. And so I share that with you today, and just ask that however you wish to cultivate and pull in the energy from the year, that you also I invite you to try to share it with others, your process. I know for me, for many years, I was a lone witch, and the journey of actually inviting other people into my process has been so powerful. I feel like it just amplifies everything that you're doing and can create such a kindred bond that isn't possible without that kind of magical connection. So I share that now, and I thank you all for watching. Ciao.